The football has evolved so much over the years and could be as old as time. Let me explain. The ball is the essential feature in many forms of gameplay, dating back to the earliest times in our known history. Going all the way back to 3000 BC, the ancient Aztecs were the first to create a rubber ball that bounced. Interestingly, when Christopher Columbus arrived in South America around 1493, he was mesmerized by this bouncing ball, so he took one back to Spain with him. In Myanmar, the ancient game of chinlone used a wicker ball. The Egyptians made them out of papyrus, the French out of beard hair and wine corks, and in England, they used to kick a pig's bladder around. Now, I couldn't get hold of a pig's bladder, but this is the ball that they use in the game of chinlone, which is 2,500 years old. Very, very old. As you can see, there's no bladder. It's made of wicker, and when you kick this ball, it feels like you're breaking it, but this game was actually all about skill. It's more like a freestyle game. Oh, not too bad. In 1851, with the growth of traditional football, Richard Linden, a British shoemaker, would become the first ever ball maker. This led to the classic brown leather ball, and as football became even more popular, the technology and designs would improve too. Okay, so this is a replica of the 1930 World Cup ball, the T model, a very iconic ball. This is where they obviously started to bring stitching in, a hand stitch ball, and the leather, this is actually proper leather, you can feel it. It actually feels quite nice, to be honest, compared to some of the modern day balls. First impressions are though, it's actually lighter than I thought it would be, but you can imagine it, if the pitch is quite wet and it seeps in, this thing's going to get super heavy. I wouldn't really want to be heading that, especially on that lacing there. Not good at all, but yeah, let's maybe take some shots with it. That knuckles more than a jabalani. It basically feels a little bit like a balloon. It moves like crazy. Oh, that was pretty close. Oi! I'll take that. Footballs would change slightly in the late 1960s to a 32 panel ball, which is still popular today. Brands like Adidas were starting to emerge and taking full advantage of the popularity of the game. And they created this ball for the 1970 World Cup. Named after a satellite, it was called the Telstar. So this is the Telstar, the first ever Adidas ball made for the World Cup in 1970. Honestly, I think this ball right here is the most iconic football ever made. Even today, right, you go on your emojis, it's that ball. Like, that's your football emoji. What a ball, what a design, iconic. Let's see what it's like. I just feel like I'm kicking an emoji around. It's so nice. Like straight away, right, you can see a world of difference from the 1930 ball to this. I think this is where football's probably got a lot more serious, and it's actually quite light, to be honest. I always had the thought that old footballs were like these heavy things that were kicked about, and probably they were on bad surfaces, on wet pitches, but these balls are nice, to be fair. I don't mind it. Let's get this thing into the top bins. Let's go. Yes! One thing I forgot to mention is the reason that they actually made this black and white was to stand out on television. Football started to become way more popular and people were watching it, so they obviously needed to see where that ball was on the pitch. So when it was brown, you couldn't really pick it up that well. It was obviously more black and white on TV. This thing pops on screen, and yeah, I think that's the reason why the simplicity of this design has stuck. And interestingly, they did bring out another Telstar in 2018. Similar design, just like a more of a futuristic version, but this thing has definitely stood the test of time. Up to quite recently, football designs were mostly 32 panels which were stitched together, but in 2006 Adidas would change this. They brought out the Teamgeist, a ball with 14 panels that were molded together, making it perfectly smooth and round. The Jabalani, probably the most controversial football ever made, followed in 2010. If you want to know why the Jabalani moves so much, I've done a separate video just on that, so maybe check it out if you're enjoying this one. This is the standard now, all match balls. We've got a Puma version here, we've got the Uniforia from the 2020 Euro tournament. A little close up, if you look here, there is no stitching. So this paneling is basically molded together, supposedly creating a rounder, better shaped ball. It sounds stupid because surely all footballs are round, but I have been testing ones from 1970, 1930 and 2000 years ago, and it's day and night difference, honestly. Like the technology and design is just unmatched. These balls are amazing. Other specialist footballs have been created over the years. The futsal ball has had the most impact on making players technically better and uses a smaller, heavier ball that doesn't bounce. Okay, here goes. Match ball against futsal ball. You can see the obvious difference here. Does not bounce. I think that the technical term is it doesn't bounce above your ankle in the game. But going back to the 1800s, the reason that this game became so popular was because they actually ran out of football pitches. Football was so popular that they had to go inside and play. They played with a handball originally. That started, developed into the game of what is called football de salon, which was a size 2 version of futsal. Football de salon means football of the hall. And then later on, futsal became a sport in its own right. So this is your typical futsal ball. A more modern day version, obviously, this was actually from the Jogger 3 campaign in the early 2000s, which Nike ran. Very iconic, using the likes of Ronaldinho to show off their skills. I think it's fair to say that futsal is the main reason that South American players are so skillful. So around 2006, Monta brought out this ball, which was made just for freestyle. This is different than any other ball I've ever seen because it's actually a size 4.5, 4.5. I think it was more of a gimmick though, to be honest. Some freestylers used it, but it didn't really catch on. This was a denim version, but I think the reason that these were so iconic is because they look different. They don't look like a regular match ball. But nowadays, freestylers would tend to use either the swirl ball or the 4 freestyle ball. I'd say this is my favorite, if I'm honest. I've clearly used this quite a lot. These are size 5s and they actually utilize that technology that we've spoke about before that the team guys brought to the game, the molded paneling. I think this has got like the molded paneling with maybe more of a look of a Telstar. It's quite simple and a very, very beautiful design. So there you go. Bringing us back to the current day and the Arila ball. Arila, meaning the journey, is the next evolution of football. Utilizing the best bits from previous balls, it supposedly travels faster than any other World Cup ball and has connected ball technology, which means it has sensors sending out data 500 times per second to help officials make better decisions. So here we have the Arila. Actually reminds me a little bit of the Jabulani. Adidas say it is the fastest ball they've ever created. Maybe it is, but it's interesting the way it's going. It's clearly going in the direction of smart technology. We've got VAR now in the game, whether you like it or not. But I just think it's interesting that one thing that has stayed with us throughout entire history, it seems, is the ball, which has become football. Wicker balls, pig's bladders, leather balls, and now smart technology. Let us know in the comments where you think it's going, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed pulling together this research. It always fascinates me, the history of the game we all love. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, maybe subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.